Hello there and welcome. So today I thought I would just go through some of the new books I got for Christmas. So it's mostly old science fiction, retro science fiction. We've got one new, relatively new science fiction, and we've got 3 fantasy books. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. Might read the blurbs of them and things like that. But yeah, no reviews today. But I'm going to be between books soon, so if you would like me to read one of these specifically for the next review, then please do let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick one at random. Anyway, let's begin with the fantasy books. So these are a very controversial series of books. So I'll pop the scans. So I've scanned the books that I've actually bought. So these 3 books I bought myself from eBay. They're going very cheap. I've read the very first 2. So what was that? Tarnsman of Gore and what was it? Captive of Gore, I think it was. No, that's this one. What was it? Outlaw of Gore, I think it was. Anyway, this is a series of over, I don't know, it runs into the 30s. I think it's 30 odd books, and this John Norman's been publishing them ever since the 60s. I say they're controversial because the ones I read were completely harmless. The first 2, it was just like pulpy fantasy. It wasn't particularly good. There was some interesting things I thought. The thing that initially appealed to me was the idea of taking the protagonist from our world. What was he called? Talbot. I think he's in Bristol, actually, in the city of Bristol in England. And a UFO miraculously appears and spirits him away to another Earth-like planet, which is directly opposite us. So we've never seen this planet before because the sun's in the way. Anyway, this is a kind of medieval world. Well, it's in a medieval feudal kind of situation. There's magic and whatnot, and lots of slavery, apparently, a slavery of women. So this is a controversial aspect of these books. As you can probably tell from the covers, there's normally a naked young lady on the front of it. I haven't read any of that. In the first couple of books, there's not really much mention of that, but apparently as the sequence goes on, it kind of descends into a debauched, sadomasochistic orgy, shall we say, and it's not very nice to women. So I didn't really like the first 2 books, and I was completely turned off when I started the 3rd book, and any pretense that this the protagonist is from Earth kind of goes out the window, and it just carries on as though it's a normal fantasy series. I don't know how that changes as the books go on, but we're seeing the story through this central character's eyes. So I lost interest anyway. I don't think I'll read these books, but I am going to collect them just because I like collecting sequences of books. But anyway, so this first one, Captive of Gore, all I'm going to do is just sniff these briefly, just to see. I like sniffing books, if you haven't seen this before, so I'm just going to give this one a bit of a sniff. It's a little bit of a dangerous one with these books, because who knows what they've been, what the readers of these books have been up to. Anyway, let's just have a quick one. I don't want to catch anything. Oh, yeah, smells like wood. This one is a 1985 publication, so yeah, it's quite an old one, 35, 36 years old, something like that. Yeah, there you go, Captive of Gore. The next one, this is the one I started reading. I never continued years ago. So this is Priest Kings of Gore. This one's a little bit more battered. Let's see when this one was printed. Riveting viewing, I know. Apologies. This one's 1982, so slightly older, so around 40 years old. This one. Let's give this one a. It seems okay. There's nothing dodgy in. Very similar. It smells like the inside of a very hot old car, that one. Okay, the next one, we've got Hunters of Gore, where we've got a bit of titty on the front cover this time. Poor woman's been enslaved by someone that looks like a demented Robin Hood. Pretty good condition, this one. The usual foxing, a little bit of sun damage. Looks okay, no dubious stains. Oh, that one's slightly... don't know about that one. Anyway, those are the Gore ones done. I may try and collect the whole series just because I enjoy that kind of thing. And when I do, I may do a video about it. But I don't think I'm going to read them. But anyway, next one. So these next 4 were from my sister, Maria, for my Christmas present. And she knows I like a bit of old science fiction, so that's what we've got here, a bit of vintage science fiction. This one is a John Wyndham book. I bloody love John Wyndham. And this one's called Web. Now, if we look at the cover, we can see the beach of a tropical island, a skull and a load of web and spider action. I'm going to very briefly, well, I'm going to try and read it quickly, but the blurb. This is in very good condition, by the way. Very small type. This is 1980, so yeah, about 41 years old. And it's in very good condition. I don't think this has ever been read. The spine is immaculate. Anyway, I have no idea what any of these books are about. I never research books before I read them. I just read them on face value. I'll read the blurb just to give me an inkling. And I'm always aware of when the book was actually first published, just to give it a slight bit of historical context. But otherwise, I don't care what other people think about books, largely. You need not care about what I say about them either, of course. Okay, here we go. A millionaire English lord dreams of founding a utopian community on a remote Pacific island. Among the 40-odd men and women selected for the project are a pestiologist named Camilla and the narrator. Within hours of the group's arrival on the sunny isle, their radio has been destroyed. Within days, several members of the group are dead. Dream turns to nightmare as they discover that the island is overrun by species programmed to resist and dominate any invader. Soon Camilla and the narrator are the sole survivors. Okay, there we are. It's a kind of a survival horror, it would seem. Quite unlike anything I've read of John Wyndham before, of course, who is famous for Day of the Triffids, Midwich Cuckoos, Chucky, that was a good one. So there we are. There's the first one you can pick if you want me to read it. The next one, right, what's this? To Outrun Doomsday by Kenneth Bulmer. Never heard of him, nor this book. The back of it, actually, the typeset is wonky. Anyway, let's see when this little devil was produced. The pages of this are very, very brown. Okay, this is the first edition. 1975. Good lord. Right, it's 4 years older than me. I've just remembered I forgot to smell the web one. Wait a minute, let's have a little sniff. This one should be... Oh, I had smells of a sun-dried sail on a sailing ship. That's the first thing that came to me. I'll just have a little sniff of this one before we do the blurb. Oh, this is very, very, very dark pages. Musty, very musty. Hobnob biscuit. Okay, let's read this blurb, see what this is all about. So, this looks prehistoric, doesn't it? When hard luck spaceman Jack Whaley crash-landed on the planet Karim, he found a weird and wonderful world thrown into fearful chaos by the anger of its quasi-god, Pelchan. The mysterious Pelchan showered his people with jewellery, weapons, clothing, yet denied them the necessities such as food and shelter. The grand houses of Karim, which had always repaired themselves for as long as anyone could remember, now were crumbling, falling hazards to anyone venturing near them. Yet these were only the symptoms of a far deadlier peril shadowing this once bright planet, a peril bumbling Jack Whaley would ultimately have to face alone, with an entire world's fate hanging in the balance. This was 40 pence when it was released in 1975. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what that'll be like. Okay, we've got another John Wyndham one here. Okay. Writing as John Bainan. So I didn't realise he had a pseudonym, a pen name that he wrote under, but there we are. Wanderers of Time. This is a really nice cover. It looks like it's been, doesn't say, it looks like it's illustrated by Foss, but I don't know for sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, doesn't say, but the copyright goes right back to 1933. Bloody hell. This is a 1973 print, so this one's even older than the To Outrun Doomsday. Okay, let's have a little, let's dip in. Almost identical to that one. Hobnob with the chocolate scraped off. You can still smell the chocolate slightly. Okay, anyway, let's see if this has a blurb. It might be a collection of short stories, perhaps. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, there we are. There's another John Wyndham one. I've read one of his short story collections before, and it was actually quite good. Quite unusual things. We've got a Asimov here. I've never read any Asimov, I don't think. Might have read I, Robot once, maybe. So this is the early Asimov. No, I've read 2 collections of his short stories. This appears to be another one of them. So let's have a look at this one. This is 1973 print, so they're all very old. Pages look very nice, just a little browned. Oh, bloomin' hell! Oh, this isn't a strange one. Oh, there's a kind of whiff of disinfectant about this. Like the kind that I remember from primary school, where they would bathe everything in bleach or some such. Oh, yeah, it's not pleasant. Okay. I'm not going to read this because it's basically just a collection of his short stories, I think. Yeah, anyway, there we are. Another Asimov one. Nice, very nice cover. Again, I think this might be Chris Foss, the illustration. Yes, Chris Foss. 35 pence in the old currency. Okay. Next 3 books were a present from my friends Dan and Sarah. So let's see what they got me. Thank you very much again, by the way. So these are all new print editions. So yeah, it's got that fish and chip smell, fish and chips paper smell. Really nice. It hasn't matured yet into something more fruity. Anyway, the first one is Alfred Bester's The Star's My Destination. Now, I've heard good things about this one. The only book I've read by him, I think, is The Demolished Man. I think that's the one I read. Yeah, The Demolished Man, which is a 1953 book. This one has an original copyright of 1956, so it's very nice vintage 50s science fiction. Yeah, so that should be nice. I think it's got an introduction by... Oh, I don't know him. Anyway, okay. Okay, I'll read the short blurb here. Here we go. Education, none. Skills, none. Merits, none. Recommendations, none. That is the official verdict on Gully Foyle, unskilled space crewman. But Gully has managed to survive for 170 days in the airless purgatory of deep space after the wreck of his ship, and now he has escaped to Earth, carrying a murderous grudge and a secret that could change the course of history. Sorry, it's tea, it's repeating on me. So, that sounds interesting. Kind of a revenge scenario. That's another option if you want me to read that. Absolutely beautiful cover, by the way. I can't remember the illustrator, but I think I've got one of his art books. Chris Moore, yeah. Yeah, I think I've got one of his books. Excellent. Okay, the next one is another old one. So, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein? Don't know. Okay, let's have a look, see when this was. Okay, the copyright for this is 1969, it would appear. So we've got 60s, late 60s. Okay. Oh, hello, wait a minute. Oh my goodness, that's a nostalgic smell. This is a new edition, new print, so it would have been printed last year probably. The paper smells like a colouring book I had as a child. Well, I'll be darned. Just came to me then. Lovely. So, colouring book. Okay, so let's read the blurb of this one. It was a Hugo Award-winning classic. So, in 2075, the moon is no longer a penal colony, but it is still a prison. Okay. Life isn't easy for the political dissidents and convicts who live in the scattered colonies that make up lunar civilization. Everything is regulated strictly, efficiently and cheaply by a central supercomputer. Holmes 6. Roman numerals. When technician Manny O'Kelly Davis discovers that Holmes has quietly achieved consciousness and developed a sense of humour, in brackets, his choice is clear: either report the problem to the authorities or become friends, and perhaps overthrow the government while he's at it. Interesting. So this author also wrote Starship Troopers and Stranger in a Strange Land. There's another option there if you fancy me reading that. I'm quite interested in that. Okay, the last one, last but not least, is the most recent one. So I may have said before, so this is the free body problem. Unfortunately, Dan, I've already got this one, but I prefer your version. The spine is green. So I'm going to keep your one, and I'm going to jettison the other one. My other one is blue. Yeah, so yeah, no problems there, Dan. I will read the blurb of this because I've actually forgotten what this is about. Yeah, let's have a quick sniff. Yeah, okay, fish and chip paper. So original, this is a translation from Chinese, published 2014. Okay, I'm going to quickly read this if you don't mind. 1967, I may mispronounce these names. Ye Wenji witnesses Red Guards beat her father to death during China's Cultural Revolution. This singular event will shape not only the rest of her life, but also the future of mankind. 4 decades later, Beijing police ask nanotech engineer Wang Miao to infiltrate a secretive cabal of scientists after a spate of inexplicable suicides. Wang's investigation will lead him to a mysterious online game and immerse him in a virtual world ruled by the intractable and unpredictable interaction of its 3 sons. That's interesting. This is the free body problem and is the key to everything. The key to the scientist's death, the key to a conspiracy that spans light years, and the key to the extinction level event threat humanity now faces. Wow, that sounds incredible, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm going to be reading that definitely this year at some point. Anyway, there we are. Oh my goodness, 20 minutes. Apologies, this is a rambling one. But those are my new books. Have you read any of these yourselves? If so, what do you think of them? What do you think of the Gore series if you've read that? And lastly, what would you like me to read next out of these books or something else? I'm always open to suggestions, but I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in the week with a book review. Oh, lovely. Dark Tower 2. Cheers and cheerio. Lovely.